We're glad you've chosen to listen to our weekly talkback. The weekly talkback is designed to take a portion of the teaching from this week to a deeper level. You may want to listen to this week's teaching, but it isn't necessary to understand the weekly talkback. If you'd like to connect further, feel free to reach out to us through our website, conoychurch.org. For now, enjoy the weekly talkback from Conoy Church, where our mission is to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ.
Couple of things I want to talk to you about here this morning. Randy, can you pull up that first slide? I think it has scripture on it. These are some words that I want to remind us of. I'll read them out of here because I don't know if I can read it there. It says this is from Hebrews chapter 10, verses 23, 24, and 25. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess. For he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. This is an important piece of scripture because it's talking about us meeting together. It's talking about what we're doing as we come together on Sunday morning, when we come together for a love feast, when we have a campfire midweek down here, when we have our pizza and chosen night. So all of the things that we do, it's talking about when we get together, one of the purposes is to hold unswervingly to the hope we profess. What's the hope we profess? Yeah, it's in Jesus. One of the reasons we gather this morning is to hold on to the hope that we have in Jesus. But what is the other reason? Let us consider how we may spur one another on, how we may encourage one another. One of the things that happens so much of the time when we walk into a worship service, when we walk into church on Sunday, is we have blinders on. I thought about making myself a pair of blinders. I was going to use my daughter's little head thing. She has little cat ears on it, and I was going to make blinders. And then I decided it'd be too distracting. So just go like this. I'm going to invite you to take your hands and go like this. And if you do it, do you see the people sitting next to you? You don't. What you do see is you see that cross, right? There's a part of this scripture that you can fulfill when you have your blinders on. Let's hold on to the hope we have in Jesus. Let's hold on to it unswervingly. But when you have your blinders on, the piece you miss is everybody sitting around you. That has to be an important part of why we gather every day. And why do we gather? So that we can encourage one another. So we can spur one another on in love and good deeds. And if we have these blinders on, we miss that totally. Now, do we gather so that we can worship Jesus? Yes. Do we gather because we love God? Yes. Do we want to sing praise because we cannot help ourselves but praise the good God who sacrificed himself for us so that we could be in right relationship with him? Absolutely, but we can't do it at the expense of the people around us. John tells us that if we say we love God, but we don't love one another, then we don't really love God. We got to get those two things right, okay? You with me? All right, now I'm going to put something else on the screen. Randy, can you put the next slide up? This is the mission of our church, to love people and invite them into a life-changing relationship with Jesus. That's pretty simple, right? The mission of our church is to love people. That means people we like. It means people we don't like. It means the people we know and the people we don't know. It means the people who are just like us and the people who are really different from us. It means the people who voted one way when we voted a different way. It means the people, you get it? Everybody. Who's my neighbor? Everybody. We love everybody, and we're inviting everybody into a life-changing relationship with Jesus. And why is that? Because we believe that our relationship with Jesus changed our lives. We're the example. Not because you have to have it all right, but because Jesus loved you and you're sitting in this seat because there's something that changed about you when Jesus loved you and you loved Jesus. And now we get to invite everybody else in that same reality that we know. That is our mission, okay? And I need you guys to know what our mission is. And I'm going to start saying it more often because we need to be on the same page about what it is. Now, go to the next slide, Randy, for me. We have these 4 goals. You might say this is the vision of our church. These 4 goals that were created by our church board. Our church board are people who are sitting here today, who are elected by all of you, who represent our congregation and make decisions for our church. together, that group of people developed this vision for our church. So the first one is to grow beyond. We want Conoy to be an intentional, welcoming, and caring to visitors, and our desire is for visitors to become family. That's the first grow goal that we have. And it's really important. If somebody comes in and nobody talks to them, do you think the visitor is going to become family? No. Imagine if you were going to go to your future father-in-law, mother-in-law's house, and you went in there to have your first meal with them, and instead of talking to you, they ignored you the whole time. Would you want to be marrying into that? No, you totally wouldn't. You might still, but you wouldn't want to. We have to be friendly. We have to be willing to talk to people, right? It's got to be part of it. Go to the next one, Randy. Growing together. At Conoy, we seek to grow together by spending time together in fellowship, service, and worship. There is a reason that we open the doors very early in the morning here. Not because I like to get out of bed super early, okay, I do. But because it provides a space for you to come and fellowship, have a cup of coffee, get together, sit at a table, talk with people. There's a reason that we do Sunday school classes, so we get to know each other better, so we can talk more casually. Why do we have campfires all summer long? So we get to know each other, spend time together. Like, why did we go out and serve the community during the big serve day the other year before COVID? Because we wanted to serve together. We do these things so we can grow together, so that the people sitting around you aren't strangers. It's a way that we get to know each other. And it's essential that if this is your church, if this is your home, we do these things together. Don't just make this a place where you show up on a Sunday and you never show up again. Join in. Be a part of the community. Next slide for me. Growing younger. This is a key thing, all right? We seek to be an intentional community that reaches young people and families while deliberately choosing to be an example of an intergenerational community that reflects the kingdom. It's very wordy. We want young people to come. We want to deliberately be a place where young people feel comfortable, where they want to stay, where they enjoy their time here. Part of that is our people have to want that too, right? Part of it is also, if we never have nursery, then we're never going to have little kids. If we're struggling every week to figure out children's ministry, it's going to be hard for a young family to come. If there's never going to be a youth group, then families are going to choose a place where there's a youth group. Like, we have to get that kind of stuff figured out. That's not easy. But we want to be a place where young people want to come and stay. And then we also realize that we have people who aren't young. And we value people who aren't young. Because people who aren't young have tons of wisdom and experience, and they've been there, and there's so much to teach us, and there's a million other things that I could list off that I'm not going to list off. The most reflective example of the bride of Christ is one that's intergenerational. Not all young, not all old, a mixture of all, working together, getting to know each other, loving one another, and being the bride of Christ. That is what we need to be. So an intergenerational community, but one where young people come. Mike, can you go to the last one for me? Last one is growing deeper. We believe that God calls us into an increasingly exciting and deepening relationship with Him. We commit ourselves to spending time in that relationship so we may be a reflection of Jesus to the world around us. We don't want to be satisfied with being, I don't know, let's see, what's a good example? Somebody that just is an acquaintance with Jesus. I don't want to just be an acquaintance with Jesus. I want Jesus to know me, and I want to know Him. I want to go deep. And I realize that's not always easy, and I realize that that's not always fun, because sometimes when I read Scripture, it points out things in my life that need to change. But we believe that God calls us to an ever-deepening relationship with God. We want to pursue that, and we don't want to pursue it by ourselves. We want to pursue it together as a congregation in a way that encourages each other, in a way that honors God, and in a way that has us continually growing. That's it. Those are our 4 vision, grow, goals, statements that we have. Those are kind of the filters by which we run things through at our church. So when somebody says, I have an idea to do a campfire down at the pavilion twice a month, what do you think? Say, hey, that meets one of our vision goals. Yeah, let's do that. And somebody says, hey, I got an idea. Let's order pizza and watch The Chosen together and then talk about each episode. We say, yeah, that reaches one of our vision goals. When the church has some money left over at the end of last year and we say, what's the thing we can do with that? We need to hire a children's ministry person. We say, yeah, that's something that we need to do because that's going to help us reach one of our vision goals. Those are the filters by which we run through things in this church. Our mission is, of course, to love people. It's, of course, to invite people into a growing relationship with Jesus. But if we're not following those vision goals, the things that our board feels like God is calling us to, and we're not going to have any vision. Be like a ship without a rudder, floating around and not knowing where it's going. So, why are we here? Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, Jesus. For he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Guys, that's why we're here. That's why. I don't know that I can make it any more clear. I'm glad that you're here this morning. I don't know what happened in your week. I don't know what brought you here. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that I get to sit with you, stand with you. I get to worship with you, that together we can sing these words, that together we can worship God. And I'm glad, guys, that we're a church and a community where we can say, hey, we're realizing we have a problem that we need to talk about and we need to try and fix. Can we do that together? You're not alone. And I know sometimes you walk into this place and you might feel like you're alone, but I want you to know you're not. This is a community of people intent on holding on to the hope that we have in Jesus, intent on meeting together on a regular basis, intent on spurring one another on towards love and good deeds and encouraging one another. So can I invite you to stand and worship this morning? Please.
Hi, this is Pastor Nick. Thanks for listening. I hope something that you heard today was very helpful. If you want to connect with us further, feel free to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or our website, conoychurch.org. Sure, I'm glad we're in this together.